Morning, everybody. Today's November 19th. Bearing burdens. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. Medal of Honor recipient Leroy Petrie was in a 2008 firefight in Afghanistan. Though already wounded in both legs, he grabbed a live grenade that landed amid his team and attempted to throw it away. It exploded before he could release it, destroying his right arm and forearm and shredding him with shrapnel. Putting a tourniquet on his arm to stop the bleeding, he continued to direct his men until the fight was over. His actions saved his fellow soldiers from death and injury. Sergeant Petrie took upon himself the burden of injury that his fellow soldiers would certainly have suffered, not unlike what Christ did on the cross to spare us from the certain death for our sins. The power one individual has to come alongside and bear the burden of a discouraged soul is amazing. Perhaps even the power of life and death. We are in a spiritual battle, after all, and it may be a word of encouragement from the sword of the Spirit that saves a friend from the attack of the giant of despair. Be a burden sharer, and bear today in the life of one who needs a word of encouragement from a friend like you. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another. Charles Dickens. God's timing is always perfect, right? I was talking with a friend the other day, and we were talking about just that, just like the struggles of life, and the everyday, and like our own frustrations with people we interact with every day, right? And we started talking about, Jesus and how he walked and what that looked like, and kind of comparing our life to that walk. And we were talking about how Jesus responded to people who were in pain, and we were specifically talking about the story when Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. Lazarus was like his childhood best friend, and someone that he was like super close with growing up. Jesus had gone away with his disciples to another land, and Lazarus was super sick and he was dying. And so Mary and Martha, his sisters, had reached out and sent a messenger to Jesus basically saying that Lazarus was going to die and that he needed to return home so that way that Jesus could heal Lazarus. And so Jesus ended up returning home at a later time than what they had requested, because he was called to do things in other places. And so he ended up getting there late, or not late, but on God's timing, right? And like he knew he was going to heal him. He knew he was going to raise him from the dead, like I can imagine, like in Jesus' head, like his best friend is about to die, and like God the Father is calling him, telling him, not yet. Like how hard would that be? Like I'm sure his flesh just wanted him to go and go and go, right? But he also had this confidence, and he knew that Lazarus was going to be raised from the dead. And so he's speaking with Mary and Martha when he gets there. And they come running out, and they're weeping. They are crying. They're like, if you would have got here sooner, he wouldn't be dead right now. It's all because you were late. Why couldn't you have just come sooner? Why couldn't you have just healed him and rid us of this burden of sadness, and I'm sure all these emotions that they're going through, right? And we were talking about the way that Jesus responded to that situation, and it was super eye-opening to me, at least, and hopefully to you guys too. that he wept with them. That was his response. His initial response was that he wept with them. He cried with them. He felt with them, and he took on their burden upon himself in an everyday act, in the everyday life. Not just the burden that he took on of our sins to sacrifice himself for our sins, but just in the everyday life, he just took on that burden, and he cried with them, knowing that he was going to heal Lazarus and bring him back to life. He didn't respond to them. He didn't say, "Oh, like, why are you guys crying? Like, I'm about to bring him back to life. Like, stop crying, stop feeling your emotions. I'm about to bring him back to life. There's no reason to cry." Like, he didn't respond like that. He paused in a moment and heard how they were feeling and got down, cried with them, felt their feelings with them, took on that burden with them, and then he got up and healed Lazarus. And so, like, when we look at that walk that Jesus has walked, and we are, the closer and closer we get to Christ, he's softening our hearts. He's helping us to feel emotions that maybe we've never felt before, haven't felt in a very long time. And God gave us these emotions for a reason, not only so that we could process the things that are happening in our lives, but so that we can bear that burden with the people around us, with the people that we love, with the people that we interact with every single day. Not all the time is it necessary to provide the solution to a problem. Those people who are coming to us with these problems to vent to us, to talk to us, they're not always coming for a solution. It's so important that we bear that burden with them, that we get down on our knees with them, and that we weep with them, and that we feel their emotions. We let them feel their emotions and go through their process with us right next to them, so that way they can lean on us. And that is something that we are extremely called to do as Christians, as followers of God and Christ, because that's what he did. He is a perfect example for us to attempt to emulate as a follower of him, as one of his disciples. And that just goes into the Great Commission. We are to go and create disciples and to spread the gospel. If we are just spreading the gospel and not creating disciples, we're not completing the commission. We are also to create disciples, and that means to be followers of Christ, to emulate him. So I challenge you, reflect on your life, reflect on the people that have come to you in the past, and if you are trying to give them solutions constantly, and maybe that's not what they need. Reflect on that. Think about being more sympathetic and empathetic and feeling their emotions with them and encouraging them along the way. I love you guys. I'll be praying for you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless you.